Well, welcome to Main Street Sports. I'm here for the mid-season MO-WIFF preview night. Got a number of the gentlemen that are coaches, players, just going to mix in tonight. We're just going to talk about the season to this point. And so before we get too far in, let's go ahead and take a moment. I'll let you gentlemen introduce yourself. We'll start right here with you, Brian.
Yep, I'm Brian Hunter. I'm the captain of the Thunderbirds.
I am Caleb Schweigert. I am lead pitcher and member of MO-WIFF Purge.
I'm Ken Bone, the manager of the Kings.
And we do have a special on the air. Couldn't be with us tonight in person, but we're glad to have him. And so, Drew, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Drew Maurer, and I'm a pitcher for the MO-WIFF Archers.
Well, gentlemen, it's really good to just kind of have you here tonight. Starting off, let's just kind of talk through the standings right now because we did the season preview, at the beginning, and there was some conversation like this was going to be a sprint a little bit. Like we were thinking there would be a couple teams that kind of just started to run away with and you needed to keep traction. And that's really been the opposite to this point. We were talking a little bit before we came on air. I mean, everybody is within 3.5 games. And so when you look at the standings here, the American League, the Archers are at the top, sitting at 6-3, but the Mambas right there behind them, 5-4. The Mojo at 3-3, and then the Kings at 3-4. You go to the National League, you have the Purge leading the way there, 5-3. Got the Thunderbirds 4-3, the Bombers at 4-5, and the Melonheads at 1-6. And so let's just take a minute, and I want you guys to kind of chime in and just talk what this is really meaning and how the first half of the season has been shaping up.
So, I mean, the one thing that I'll say has been kind of I said early in the season, even on our own podcast and everything, that I thought this was going to be a sprint, not a marathon. And it started that way for two teams. I mean, the Archers jumped out to a big lead, in the division, and then that kind of sunk back down a little bit. But they're a powerhouse through and through. But the Bombers as well, they jumped out to a big lead, and they've, unfortunately, they're in a mini skid right now, losing 4 straight. But that's ball, right? We're all kind of the way the league is. Anybody can win on any given night. You never know what's going to happen. And I mean, in the American League division, and Ken, sorry, I'm going to speak for you here about this one. I mean, that division is a hell of a lot closer than it looks. I mean, because we're talking just 1-run losses in there, just because somebody stuck a bat out and the ball went out. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's anybody's night. It can be anybody's night at any given time.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The American League in and of itself, I mean, only 2 games separate the top from the bottom right there, which is, extremely incredible. I mean, obviously, Caleb with the Purge kind of leading the way right now, but it's not much different there in the National League either at 3.5 back.
No, and so honestly, in my opinion, there really isn't a big difference competitiveness-wise within both leagues. I want to say both leagues are they're every single lineup in this league is solid, very solid. Every team's going to have at least 2 to 3 guys who can throw you some strikes. Some not as others, but there's a lot of kids who I've seen honestly working to not only become better pitchers, but to learn new pitches, throw them on command, get a strike, and just help their team, that much more go into playoffs. Because once you get to playoffs, pitching really is one of your biggest aspects. It's going to lead you far into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been by far our most competitive season to date. Last week we did have a couple of blowouts. The Melonheads had some injury and availability trouble with some of their players, and they took 2 losses that were pretty wide margin of victory. But apart from those 2 games, the average margin of victory for the year is 2.06. So
Wow.
2 runs on average has decided every single game this year. So that does tell you that anybody can get out there and a couple of base hits decides the game either way.
100%.
Yeah, and Drew, why don't you chime in a little bit on this one as well and tell us kind of what you're seeing as probably the youngest one here on this panel through the first half of the season.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the games are just like 1-run games, so like pitching especially is huge. So on any given night, if the pitcher has it or not, I mean, 1 run can decide the outcome of a game. Like especially in our series against the Purge, we lost two of those games, and I think they were both 1-run games. So I mean, one swing of the bat or one play can decide a bunch of spots in the standings.
Yeah, and I mean it's been fun. I've spent the last few days really kind of looking at the stats, looking at the standings, and kind of just like excited about Thursday night coming up for the slate of games. Got some good games lined up as well, and looking at just kind of up and down for the statistics of some of the players in the league. I mean, it's interesting to look at because you have a number of solid hitters, and then you've got these elite pitching, and then it's like there's this massive gap in between a little bit, and again, and maybe you guys can speak to this a little bit. That's the nature of MO-WIFF at times, and so take a minute and just talk about the difficulties of adjusting to high velocity when it comes to wiffle ball, and then also having to adjust game by game because it hasn't always been the easiest season too. We've had a lot of rain this year, so you guys have been adjusting your schedule a little bit to fit these games in as well. So take a moment and just talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, when we pulled the stats and everything, I mean, the Mambas have the top 3 hitters in the league right now.
Right.
And I mean, Chandler Melton, who's second in the league right now, he went 7 for 8 on Thursday alone. So, I mean, that catapulted him up there. But like we can talk about, it changes every night. You see a pitcher like Caleb that's going to be, pure heat and he's going to chase you high and in. Or you got somebody like Drew, who's a submariner,
Okay.
who comes down low, and it's like different every damn night. You're looking at a different arm slot. And then you get pitchers that are more seasoned, where they've learned how to throw from the same arm slot and the same pitches, same pitch. So you're not really sitting on anything. So it's one of those things where you just gotta not necessarily hope and pray, but I mean, if you watch it long enough and everybody's watching, you're gonna pick something up. So it's just kind of that consistency of making sure you're playing as a team and not as an individual. And I mean, that's something that I think everybody in our league does quite well.
Yeah, and so Caleb, I heard you kind of get the nod this week on the mound on Thursday night, and so talk about just kind of the preparation. Don't give away the secrets. I know you don't want to throw those out there right yet.
And no, so I mean, honestly, there is no secrets. Just luckily, I was able to throw a baseball kind of hard, and it translated to being able to pick up a 1 ounce piece of plastic and just throwing it even harder. But yeah, no. So this will actually be my first time pitching in the last 5 or 6 weeks. When we played the Archers, actually, I only made it till about the first out in the 3rd inning before I felt some discomfort in my shoulder. And I was like, no, maybe it's time to shut it down. So I didn't really want to test anything. It's way too early in the year. And I have a lot of wiffle ball to play, and I still play a lot of slow pitch softball. So I'm like, okay, I got to think of, future terms. I have work to go to on Monday the whole week. I can, can't do that. But no, really, the one thing I want to touch base on about the velocity part, like Brian said, is how hitters reacted this year. It is a night and day difference of last year when it was, me and Connor Jaso being the hardest throwers in the league. And of course, when people are going to be scared when we come up on the mound and they're, frightened in the box, because to be honest, getting hit by a 90-mile-an-hour wiffle ball stinks. And as much as anybody wants to say, oh, it's a wiffle ball, it won't hurt. Oh, no, you're going to have a nice purple whelp on your arm or cheek, and it'll be there for a couple days. But no, the hitters this year have just been a night and day difference in not only being able to stay up to date with velocity, but it's almost harder to want to throw them, our fastball because that's what they're expecting and, that's what they're going to hit.
Yeah, until last week, every single team had at least one hitter that did not have a hit through 8 games. And these are not guys who are not getting at bats or who historically performed poorly. We've had guys who have won batting titles previously had not gotten a hit through almost the first half of the season. Mm-hmm. And that's just how much the pitching has improved this year. Yeah, a couple of guys were feeling slumps, but we've added, 3 of the best pitchers we've ever seen in MO-WIFF just this year, our top 3 draft picks. So that just makes the pool even deeper. Like Caleb said earlier, every single team has at least 2 guys that get out there, and the first one is probably a dominant force. The second one gives you a chance to win against anybody on any given night. Mm-hmm. So these games can go any way, and having your ace out there is not a guarantee or a victory. Just look at my record on the Kings. My ace, Josh Wheeler, #1 draft pick, he has an ERA of 0.88.
Right.
He's 1-3.
Right.
He's taken three losses where he's only given up 1 or 2 runs. So that's the kind of walls that you run into. And this week we've got the Archers. We're likely to see some incredibly hot pitching. They have the best ERA of any pitching staff at about 0.48. I think they're team ERA is right now.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's going to be a big test to see if the bats can come alive. But look for a lot of pitching duels. These division weeks where everybody gets to throw their ace is a lot of excitement, a lot of velocity.
Drew, anything you want to kind of chime in on that side?
Yeah. So the pitching this year, I mean, I've never faced fast pitching really. I mean, I faced one guy that threw like high 80s, but other than that, it's been a really hard transition this year. I think I might have one hit. Like it's really really good competition. Everyone's throwing really hard. And then like from the pitching side of it, it was a big jump seeing the caliber of hitters that you also have to go against as a pitcher. So not only is it like scared to go up there as a hitter and face all these good pitchers, but going up there as a pitcher and seeing these lineups that you really don't have anyone to work around. I mean, it's just a very competitive league with good hitters and good pitchers on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, just me being me here, I pulled up some of the stats here and just even looking kind of for you on the pitching side of things. I mean, you've got a .5 ERA, but haven't really collected that first win. And I'm not trying to rub that in, I promise. It just goes to speak to what these guys are talking about, how the fact you can have dominant pitching performances and it's really like just one mistake sometimes that can get you beat in that. And so just talk about your mentality going in, especially when you get to the mound or even at the plate at times. What's your approach like coming into this when you said you haven't really seen this kind of velocity or these types of approaches from the hitters?
Yeah, for sure. So on the mound, you really got to be careful what you throw people, and it comes with a lot of preparation and video. And like just last week with the Bombers, I knew Cam, like he's a very 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 good hitter. So kind of what to throw him, what he likes to swing at, where to play stuff, where not to play stuff. So it comes with a lot of preparation. You can't just go out there and just try to throw it as hard as you can at the board. You're gonna have to try to get people to chase that stuff, like put pitches in your exact places. And then like with my mentality, just like going after one batter at a time and try not to overthink everything. Um, I've had problems, throwing strikes to guys just because I'm scared that they're gonna hit it. So, it's a very hard mental game when you're going out there on the mound, especially against like all these great hitters. So.
Yeah, and I'll say something. Sorry to cut you off
No,
here,
you're
but
good.
I mean, Caleb is very methodical in how he pitches, right? To where he can hesitate a little bit or he can come right at you. Drew, on the other hand, is grip it and rip it. I mean, if you're in the box, you better be ready because that pitch is coming. Because I don't know how many times when we had our series, I went against him. I had to just step out of the box, like just slow it down. And I was just like, all right, hold on here, kid. But I mean, that's just kind of the difference in how some of these guys go.
Yeah, and I'm really fascinated. Obviously, grew up playing wiffle ball as a kid, but it's vastly different than what you see when you come out to Miracle Field in Chesterfield and watch MO-WIFF. Let me tell you, it's a completely different game. And when you play, I mean, this is an 18-week season. And we're midway through, and this is kind of like that, the dog days of summer almost for you guys. And like I said, it's been kind of a rough start. We had the most rain we've ever had in April in Missouri.
It's crazy.
And so you guys have been bouncing back and forth. And so take a minute and just talk about like the mental preparation, because it's more than just you guys get to come out and play wiffle ball. I mean, you've got jobs you're holding down, you've got families that you're still spending time with, and then obviously the camaraderie that comes with playing a team sport, and the league as a whole is pretty close. And so just take a minute and tell me a little bit about your experience and what you appreciate so much about MO-WIFF and how that, just kind of impacts you.
So I guess one way I could get started on like the mental preparation is no matter what kind of ball you play, whether it's baseball, softball, male or female, this game alone with the bat and the ball is 99% mental.
Right.
If you are not a strong mental person, hold yourself over the little inconspicuous things that are gonna, really set your frustration off. You're like, okay, why can't I do this? It's gonna kill you. And it sucks to say because wiffle ball is, that childhood game we all love to play. But when you have, guys like me throwing the ball 92, 93 miles an hour, you just worked a 10-hour day. You're like, dude, what the heck? Like, I can't catch a break. I just want to hit a wiffle ball.
So it's 60 one
exactly.
time,
Like, come on, give me a meatball one time. But no, it's it's also a blast at the same time. Just being able to get out with all of our buddies and good friends who, some we grew up with our whole lives, some we either met just this year, past couple of years, getting to hang out, have a good time, and just get to share the thought of, hey, we're out on the field playing wiffle ball, we're hanging out with our friends, having a couple drinks. Like, okay, what can go wrong?
Right.
Yeah, it's almost as interesting sometimes to watch the logistics of the game happen. If you're, I mean, I know you guys here at Livestream would be into that, seeing how, okay, there's a game going on at our field right up until the time we're supposed to start. And now we got to take over the field. Well, it's not like when you're playing slow pitch and you're playing beer league and the other team trots off and you run up and it's batter up.
Yep.
We have to go out and set up all of our broadcast stuff,
Right.
and we have to set up the backstop net. We have to roll the fence out in the outfield. It's scrambling all over everything. Fortunately, we have a great group of guys who really enjoy being together. We have a bunch of guys who show up even when their team's not playing. They work someplace over here, in the St. Louis area. And I said, well, I'm getting off at 4:30. I'll head over to the field and I'll watch the Archers and the Mambas play, even though I'm on the purge or whatever. And they help set up the fence. They help with all that stuff, and they just hang around and crack a couple of cold beverages and watch the game. So it's just a fantastic opportunity to get out there and be with a group of guys. If you're like me and you're past wiffle ball retirement age, you can still get out there and be involved.
Yeah.
I only took over as the manager this year,
Right.
but I've been part of the league and just participating and helping out at events and getting things put together for almost since the inception, and that's just kind of the atmosphere we like to have out there.
Yeah, Drew, you speak to that again, not to keep calling out your age, but obviously the youngest one that's sitting here with the mic. But what has it meant to you so far this season? You kind of talked about your mental prep already, but just talk about what it means to be a part of the team and this league as a whole.
Oh, it's amazing. Everyone's been very accepting, been very welcoming. I was very nervous, coming in for my first year, being one of the youngest guys, but everyone's just been so great to me and just like giving me some good advice. And it's a huge commitment for me. I mean, it's like an hour drive every Thursday night. So to come here and to have like some of the best times of my life, I mean, it's great. And to play football on this big stage that I've never had before, it's been a very good experience so far.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And, the one thing that I appreciate too is it's very family oriented as well. Bring your family out there to watch, enjoy it. I mean, the kids run around, play together, can chase the home runs when they happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
All that fun stuff. And so, again, would encourage you to come out and be a part of that.
MO-WIFF is brought to you by Auto Exchange in Kirkwood. They offer an extensive range of both new and pre-owned vehicles, ensuring that every customer finds a perfect car to fit their needs. In addition to their diverse inventory, they are committed to top-notch vehicle care and excellent maintenance. Call them today at 314-270-1165. Promotional Consultants Incorporated. PCI believes that strategy and ideation are essential steps to finding the right branded merchandise, apparel, awards, and signage solutions to enhance both your promotional marketing and employee recognition. Please give them a follow and check them out at promotionalconsultants.com. The Hitting Zone, located in O'Fallon, Missouri, over off Hoff Industrial Drive. Check them out at thehittingzone.com. Game Time Tournaments, locally family-owned and operated baseball and softball tournaments. Play at your team's skill level with no additional fees or charges and flexible scheduling. Go to playgametimestl.com for more information.
And so what I want to do here is just take an opportunity and let's highlight some players. I mean, you guys, obviously, some of you play as well as you kind of help coach the team, lead the league as well in that. But take some time. You can highlight yourself. There's no judgment here if you want to. But what are you seeing so far through the midway point this year? Like, who's standing out? Who's rising to the top? Maybe even think about someone that might even be like what you would consider like a comeback. Maybe they struggled a little bit last year, but so through the first half this year, they're really starting to step up, and you're seeing some different things out of them.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about, we're in the fifth year of the league, right? We've had, our reigning MVP right now in Sam Skibby. He's not having the year that he would want to have, right?
Right.
So when you have somebody like him, or before him, Jordan Smith was the MVP, both of them statistically and to their own accord are not having the years that they want to have.
Okay.
So whenever you're talking about that, it's like, okay, where's the production going to come from, either from that team or in the league? But then we've got these kids like, coming in, and I say kids, I'm damn near 40. So it's one of those things where they're coming in the league, and I mean, it's not dropped a step. And then you have people like Cole Layton, who is just absolutely mashing the ball.
Right. 571, just so you know, that's his average right now.
That guy is a certified wiffle ball killer.
There are a few people tied with 4 home runs. We'll call them out. I mean,
and he's earned those 4.
Right. You've got Cole Layton, Dustin Hitchcock, Chandler Melton, and then Josh Richardson are the ones that are leading the way in home runs. But I mean, on base, you talked about it for Cole, 727, runs batted in 13. And then obviously, as I said moments ago, 571 on the average, which I mean,
and it's not cheap. It's not
right
cheap at all. We
right.
talked earlier about, talking about the Kings, with Wheeler, with one of his losses. It was literally Cole just extended, got it off the end of the bat, and the wind took it out. I mean, that was the only hit of the game for that game. So, I mean, it's just one of those things when you got 2 kids out there dealing, on the mound. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's just pick a spot and swing, kind of if somebody's on, and it's just amazing that the things that like you said, a 1 ounce piece of plastic that's hollow can do.
Yep.
In the right conditions and stuff.
Caleb, what about you?
So honestly, I want to first touch base on 2 of those players on the home run list. You had mentioned Dustin Hitchcock and Josh Richardson. Last year, neither of them were, really highlighted hitters or, not a lot of anything special at all. But I mean, this year those 2 names I've heard being brought up quite a bit, and they have just been absolutely hammering wiffle balls. They've been having very solid at bats at the plate, and it just helps because both of those guys are great dudes and great personalities. You just love to show up to the ballpark and see them. They smile instantly, be like, hey, how's it going? But there's one kid who I actually would like to highlight and kind of shout out. And he's been brought up on social media here and there. And Brian actually brought him along this year. Was Brody Livingston. I actually got to meet him this weekend at Skibby's League, and he's probably one of the best kids out there. Super nice, respectful, loves to talk ball, and he just loves to be there and enjoy the energy. I got to not really figure him out, but just get to know him as a person this weekend. But no, he loves the sport, and even just pitching or getting a hit against him in a slow pitch. I've never seen a 40-mile-an-hour screwball from the left side. And, in a league where it's just supposed to be easy to hit some nice home runs, that was like the one time I actually was like, dude, can you just give me like a decent pitch to hit? Like, why are you trying right now? But no, that's a great kid. I'm super glad he joined us along in the league. And this past week he was hitter and pitcher of the week.
Yeah.
And that kid's just an absolute stud, and I'm excited to see how far he goes.
I love it.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. We've had a lot of guys have taken a bit of a step back because they're still figuring out this new caliber of pitching. But we look for a lot of improvement there. You're not going to keep these guys off the scoreboard for long. On the Kings, we have Dustin Hitchcock, as you mentioned. He had a rough year last year, but this year, right at the beginning of the season, had his first child, and maybe that energized him. Maybe he's not doing as many of the 4 o'clock feedings as maybe he should be. He's high energy when he gets to the ballpark, and he is melting wiffle balls from the left side of the plate. In addition to that, we got, like you mentioned, Brody. He's been an incredible impact. You got James Klein to steal a little bit of Drew's thunder. He was probably going to mention. We have several pitchers who have a 0 ERA who have pitched a significant number of innings. James has pitched like double the amount of innings as the next lowest guy. He's pitched 21 innings, allowing 1 hit, no runs. That's just unbelievable stuff. And we're probably going to have to face him, or possibly a combination of him and Drew, on Thursday night. And Drew is obviously no slouch either. He's a presence out on the mound. And he highlights something that Brian was talking about earlier, is having a couple of different looks. On the Kings, we take advantage of that. When Nick Bone is available, he is a very different look. You got Josh Wheeler out there throwing 89, reaching back, sometimes hitting 90. And then you throw Nick Bone out there, who is a control corners guy, who throws high 60s, low 70s, and then he can reach back and hit 80 on a good day for him. but he's always been a control guy. And then we got Justin Hall, our second pitcher, who is he's kind of a combination of the two. He throws a lot of different pitches, and he's constantly working on something new. And so that gives you three very different things to look at. And most teams have that. On the Bombers, you're going to have to look at a Cam Smith or a Ben Doolin, who are nationally ranked fireballer guys. And Cam's like a veteran presence who has just ridiculous control at every section of the strike zone. And then they're going to follow that out with, like a Johnny Gunn or somebody like that who just is effective but looks vastly different. And it guaranteed for the first couple innings, that's going to mess up your head. I've heard several times from some of our better hitters when they'll get up and they'll face somebody like Johnny or like Nick after seeing the first pitcher go 92, 93 miles an hour for 5 innings, they're like, why can't I hit this? Why can't I hit this guy? Like, well, it's a combination of pitch selection, control, and location. And it also just, every pitch looks like a changeup now. There's a reason why Greg Maddux is in the Hall of Fame, and it's not because he threw 104.
Right.
Yep.
Drew, what are your thoughts there? Any players standing out to you?
Yeah, one of the players that stood out most to me is probably Patrick Ballman. I've known the guy for like 2 or 3 years. I've never seen someone put so much work, like time, into wiffle ball. I mean, this guy travels all across the nation for it. He didn't used to throw this hard. I don't know if he's just been working on it a lot or if he was working through an injury, but I mean, he looks unstoppable on the mound and in the batter's box. I mean, I had to work around him. He ended up getting, I think, that winning run in one of our games against the Bird when I was out there. It was I think it was a winning run in extra innings. I mean, he is just put in a lot of work, throws insanely hard, has about like 5 or 6 different pitches. And I think the guy still has a 0 ERA. So, I mean, he's put in a lot of work. I think he's definitely one of the dominant pitchers and hitters in the league.
Yeah, when it comes to Pat Ballman, I mean, just kind of allude to it. I mean, last year he joined the league as a rookie, and he never really played fast pitch for a whole summer, right? Played a couple tournaments, everything that way. But when he come this year, he comes back bigger, stronger, and just annihilating everybody.
Oh.
And I mean, he's from Florida. He's the what is he? Assistant AD down there for a school.
Yeah.
But, school year's out, so now he's back up here. He's put here originally. So, I mean, he missed a couple weeks here, but now he's going to be back. And it's just going to be one of those things where he's like 7 feet tall. So when he stands in the box, he's just a giant. But for sure.
He is solidly built, giant, broad shoulders. He is not built like a traditional wiffle ball player.
No.
Your average
tight end.
Your average wiffle ball player who throws crazy smoke is going to be somebody like Connor Jaso or James Klein, who's about 11 and a half feet tall and weighs 97 pounds.
Soaking wet.
They just get this crazy Randy Johnson whip motion with their arms. Caleb does that with a little bit more of a solid build, but still a long-limbed guy.
Yeah.
But then you get Patrick out there, and he's just so huge and so tall.
6'14" on the mat.
His release point, like you're used to seeing release points maybe shoulder high on a 6 foot tall guy. You're seeing a release point 4 inches higher than that.
Yeah.
And that just fools you even more as he has fantastic breaking stuff.
Or you got Drew stepping out or stepping across, just, anything when it comes to his pitching where he dropped down sidearm, 3/4, it's not fun to see. And sometimes it's like, it's not fair. Give me a little bit of that. Just a little bit of that in this arm would be lovely.
I love it. So on that note, that brings me to this because it's all fun. I get it. It's a great time, but there are rivalries that develop in any competitive sport, and whether that's team to team or sometimes there's that quote unquote friendly nemesis is what I call them. Like there's a lot of respect for them, but there's that little extra. I got to get this guy this time. And so let's take a minute and just kind of walk through and maybe just shout out some of those guys for you. I mean, again, this is all respect, but there are people and there are other teams that it just means a little bit more.
Until I do it. This man right here will always be my nemesis. All right, plain and simple. Because one of these days I will get him. Because it's going to be either enough tape or he's just going to wear it down and lob one in there thinking I'm not going to be ready for it. I'm going to be. I'm going to tattoo it. But I mean, when you play with, for me, I played for 3 separate teams through my tenure here. So it's, like the Jordan Smiths. He's somebody I always circle on the calendar. If he's going to potentially be pitching, I want to, make sure I have a good showing for him. Cam, everybody wants to go after Cam, right?
Right.
100%.
It's mostly self-inflicted, but at the same time, it's all good fun. But I mean, the big names you have, and when you've been doing this as long as I have, I mean, I'm coming up on like year 12 of playing competitive wiffle ball. That's my fourth year here at MO-WIFF. So it's like the names you've seen for the years that you've played against or played with, you want to continue to have a good showing. So I mean, for me, that's kind of what it is. But I'll double down, like I said, for when we did this early preseason.
Right.
If you wait long enough and wait him out, it's gonna happen. And it happened. It took 114 pitches in 6 innings, but you finally gave. And that final score of the game is like, no.
Yes. Oh no, 1,000%.
After week 1, Thunderbirds won. And then they swept us the next week.
Yep, they put it on the next week.
There you go. There you go.
Oh gosh. I know a lot of my Purge guys. I know Brian's going to know this one, but if I had to say any sort of rivalry, it's going to be the Purge and Archers, also known as the Buffalo Series. And so just a little backstory with why we call this the Buffalo Series. So last October, we went out to UWIFs. It was me, Colin Wilkerson, Brian Hunter. We also took Patrick Ballman, Tony Cochran, and Rory Rank. And now that, first of all, was just the vibes of that weekend alone were immaculate. I mean, having all of us together, definitely, I'm surprised we didn't get in trouble. But the reason why we call that series the Buffalo Series is because, of course, we were next to a casino where we were playing, and the hot slots of the weekend was the Buffalo slot.
Yep.
So, and anytime, we would get a hit, win an inning or something, we just yelling Buffalo. And the one thing that really got us is the team who knocked us out, their pitcher, his nickname was Buffalo. And it was like,
boy.
he was like this 6'6", probably, 325-pound guy. I mean, just a big, big boy. And we lost to the Buffalo. And so that will probably be like one of the biggest rivals, in my mind, but also just one of like the greatest like memories of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
For the Kings, it's going to be Cam Smith, like Brian mentioned, because our player captain, Nick Bone, was drafted by Cam.
Okay.
Back in year 1, played on, or back in year 2, he played for Cam. So he's played for Cam for a couple of years, learned a lot from him in development, but now you got this guy who's a nationally ranked pitcher with a lot of accomplishments. So not only is he one of the best out there, but you got that personal edge where your captain used to play for this guy, and now he's a captain in his own right. He wants to get out there and establish a name for himself and his team. But in addition to that, most guys in this league, and we're no exception, are just looking for the hottest guys out there, and that's who we want.
Mm-hmm.
Our pitcher, Justin Hall, every time there's a possibility that we're playing the Melonheads, he's like, I want Jordan Smith. I want Jordan. I don't care. I don't care if I'm starting first or second. I don't care if I'm coming in relief. When he does, I want him. And this next week, we're probably going to be facing James Klein. He hasn't given up a run. He's only given up 1 hit. So we want him. We want to be that first team to hang one up on him. And if we're not able to get it done for some reason, whoever plays him next week, they want him. Everybody wants to be the first one to hang a few up on this hot throwing new kid.
Absolutely. Drew, who's that rival or nemesis? The friendly nemesis is kind of what we'll call him here.
I'll be curious to hear this one.
Yeah, I haven't been in the league that long, so I don't know many guys. But Patrick Ballman, I know I was giving props earlier, but we played a tournament against each other last April, and I went out there through one of the best games I've ever thrown. He went out there, threw a perfect game. And then I think Landon Lawson from NWA was our second pitcher. And so in the LLW tournaments, you can't pitch a full game. Once you pitch 3 innings, you got to put someone else in. And so he goes out there, first at bat, walk-off home run. So like it was pretty heartbreaking. All MO-WIFF guys were on that team with Pat Ballman. It was him, Josh Wheeler, Spencer Foss, Don Centrowski. So like it wasn't like a bad lineup or anything. Like it was a good lineup, but it was just heartbreaking to go that soon. And I was having high hopes. And then after that, a month later, he goes out and throws a perfect game against us, hits a walk-off single. So no bad blood. I love the guy, but kind of heartbreaking. Two walk-offs in like the span of a month. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be my nemesis too. I'd be coming at him at that point for sure. So real quick, I just want to get an opportunity. We talked. We're midway through once again, 9 weeks in, and it is really really close. The league is close again. 3.5 games separating, bottom from top, which is cool. So real quick, why don't you just do you see it kind of continuing this way? Is there a team that's coming on here at that midway point that you're kind of looking out for, saying, hey, we've got to keep our eye on them because they're starting to climb the standings or gain some ground here?
So I mean, I'll talk National League first, right? The Purge are getting Pat Ballman back.
Right.
They're getting Caleb back. So addition from within to strengthen that ball club, that's going to be a different story because I think honestly, if Caleb doesn't get hurt, I think I think that is the sprint.
Okay.
Is out of them a little bit. I mean, not saying anything to anybody else who pitched in that time, but you can go back and look at the stat line, and it's like it's a little different what Caleb would have done. But you look at that. Brody finally able. His college career came to an end, and he moved from Arizona here to St. Louis.
Okay.
He made his debut 2 weeks ago when we played, and I mean went out and West Coast met East Coast, and it was a showdown. And I mean, he was the judge, jury, and executioner of that game one. Delivering the single solo shot, over the wall. There was a line rope into the wind. I don't know how he did it, but it still happened. But I mean, I think adding him on to with the Thunderbirds, it's gonna be a good run. So I think you're gonna watch kind of the Purge and Thunderbirds probably go toe to toe here. I mean, our series against each other is already over, but the way our schedules were written are completely flip flopped. So it's if you go back and look at all of our games, it's like any one of them could throw a perfect game any
Right.
night. And I mean, that we've kind of gone against. So I mean, that's what they're about to kind of go through. So it's going to see, what's there for them. But then you got Cam. You can't count Cam out.
No.
I mean, I'm only speaking for the National League. So.
No. Yeah, no, definitely when, just like Brian said, the last people you want to count out's the Bombers. Not just because, Cam's a commissioner, but he has a little sneaky ball club. They'll sneak some games through, and it's more than you'll think. And, they'll rush up those standings, before you know it. But no, just I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on what Brian said. The exact same two teams. Just with us getting Patrick a little bit more, for the summer, him being done with school, me finally being healthy again. I'm excited to get back on the mound and do my thing. It's what I love to do. And we actually have another guy who we're going to be bringing in hopefully in a couple weeks. He just had a baby, Blake Hoffman, and he's going to be tossing it from the left side. Our first lefty in the rotation. It's the fourth solid arm. We can count on to go out throwing strikes and. Just like Ken said, give us a chance any given night against any ball club. And I also want to touch base on the T-Birds as well. Just after seeing Brody play that first week of him, coming in, taking it by a storm, getting pitcher and hitter of the week. It's going to be a scary ride to see the Thunderbirds start to come back up and do what they do best.
Yeah, Ken, you want to talk about the American League?
Yeah, I think the Archers are unlikely to fall off very much. We're going to do our best to take a game from them this week, and then we still have a series with them later in the year. And it's going to be a fight. All of those games are going to be fights because behind them, you got the Kings, Mambas, and Mojo. And the Kings and Mambas, I think, are the two most closely matched teams in the league. Our 3 games against each other, every one of them was just an absolute fight that could have gone either way. They had the benefit of having the hotter hitting while also having pretty good pitching. Our bats just weren't quite as much there as we would have liked. But we're adding Drew Ballman starting this week and for the rest of the season. So that's going to be a big addition to our lineup, get us just a little bit closer. So I think those two teams are going to be fighting it out. But of course, you can't count out the Mojo because they're the reigning champs and have some of the deepest talent in the league. They're sitting at 3-3 right now. They're waiting on finishing out a rainout game where they're
Okay.
leading by I think 3 or 4 in like the last inning. So they're very likely to now, add another win with just finishing out that game. So they're going to be right there. And all 3 of those other teams are going to be separated by like 2 points. So it's going to be a battle the rest of the season to see, which team is going to miss the playoffs along with the Melonheads.
Yeah. And so, Drew, who you looking at from, sitting there with the Archers? Who are you kind of keeping an eye on underneath there on the American side?
Yeah. So I think, one of the teams that I'm really, really scared of is the Mojo. I mean, they always have a really good shot. So we played them in I think 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I think if Connor Jaso's there, the Stevie brothers, they're all very, very good players. So I think the Mojo, once Connor Jaso's there consistently, is going to be one of the hardest teams to beat. And then again with the Birds, I mean, they had our number when we played them. Uh, they had, I think, a perfect game against us. And I mean, I think with the addition of, Blake Hoffman, who I've talked to a little bit here and there, he's a very solid pitcher. He doesn't throw the hardest stuff, but I mean, he has crazy movement, really good location. And then along with Patrick and Colin, I mean, they're just all very, very, very good pitchers.
And the final thing I just want to kind of talk about, and Brian, maybe you can speak to this a little bit, is coming up on August 30th at the Car Shield Field is the MO-WIFF Classic. And so why don't you just let everybody know what that's about and what's going to be happening there on the 30th of August?
Yeah, so the MO-WIFF Classic, every year that we've been around, we've had our tournament, because for our teams to qualify for UWIFs or, some other tournaments across the country, we guys got to play together, right? There's got to be something to what they do. But every year we do it. It's, kind of teams will mix sometimes where you see some friends from something come and play and you kind of get to see something different. We get teams that come from outside of the state, come in for the tournament. So you get a different view and vibe. And it's the best way for anybody to be discovered, for our draft and stuff that way is to kind of come in and show what you got. Like the Mambas core of their draft all played in that
Right.
MO-WIFF Classic. So, I mean, they were all drafted this year and they're showing up and showing out. That's how Caleb got his start in the league was, in the tournament. But yeah,
And so if a team wants to get in,
Yeah.
how do they do that?
so just go to our website, MO-WIFF.com. And it's got its own individual tab right now. And then, of course, if you follow us on social media, we're starting to kind of put some stuff out there.
Yep.
You can also go to Missouri Wiffle through our link tree, and it's got a sign up sheet. Takes you right to the website to where you can do that.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is the MO-WIFF midseason preview, and it looks like we've got a lot of fun still ahead of us. Like we keep saying, and I'm going to say it again, 3.5 games separate, and it's a lot of fun. And so get yourself out to Miracle Field on Thursday nights in Chesterfield. Catch a game, stay out there, hang out for the family environment, have some fun, and come see these guys do their thing, whether it's coaching or out there on the field, and maybe see if you would think you could still swing at some of these pitches, because it's pretty crazy. And so for all of us here at Main Street Sports, we want to thank you for tuning in. Have a great night, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of live stream